how are you today? This is Jilly Bling, and I have a fourth project using the Fond of Autumn bundle. And the bundle includes a stamp set, a polymer stamp set, and the autumn bouquet dies. And today's project, I'll also be using seasonal labels, which has great label shapes, plus holiday type. Season's Greetings is the stamp set it coordinates with, but these pine cones. So this project has a long story. Okay, not too long. I love this paper. This paper, let me pull it out over here. This paper is the Rustic Pumpkin Designer paper. And the paper is very interesting. First of all, when you look at it, obviously it's just beautiful. The black background with these white tipped flowers. And I didn't even notice there's pine cones in here. It's like, okay, it's autumn, but pine cones, those are kind of Christmassy. And these leaves, because they're in mossy meadow, I'm thinking kind of Christmassy. But then the butterflies say springtime or summer. So I was trying to stretch it to make it pick up the pine cones. Hence, I pulled out the stamp set because look how perfectly these pine cones match that. Hence, this project. You're like, wait a minute. This is Fond of Autumn. And these little holly berries, those are from right here. And you can color them white or maybe purple or light blue or gray or red, like holly berries. And I kind of wanted to show the versatility in this bundle, the Fond of Autumn bundle, by using the holly berries. So this is a little bit too much of a stretch. I think the project would be great if I used Christmas paper. And guess what? With the new catalog, there's a lovely Christmas paper. So much I bought, oh my gosh, 5, 6 packages of it. It is, hold on, it's right here. Because I know you want to know all this. So here's the Rustic Pumpkin, which we will not be using today. That has the flowers in it. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? Traditional Christmas. Until the last page. It's like, okay, that's green, okay. Christmas, Christmas. And it goes so great with the Christmas season bundle. Okay, good, good. Okay, wait till I flip the last one. Okay, not that one. I love the polka dots. Okay, wait till I flip the last one. It's camo. Is that fun? If you have kids like I do, somehow this needs to find its way into their world. Okay, so I needed sales. Guess what I decided to buy? Like 10 packages of this paper. It's pretty. We'll do lots of good stuff with it. Okay, so back on track. This project, let's do it holiday-like. So there is adhesive back pearls. These, they might say that they're red or cherry, but I think they're closer to the Merlot. And in the Rustic Pumpkin paper was Merlot, and I've never used my Merlot paper, so I really want to stick with that. So I came up with using like the different types of greens, and the Merlot little berries, they could squeeze in just fine. We'll make it Merlot. Double bow. You know what? Well, I got it. Let's do a double bow. So I put the sample project on Instagram and Facebook and asked, what do you think? Because I wasn't sure. It didn't seem to be working. And it was pretty much unanimous. It's too far of a stretch. It's too much. So if you're on Instagram or if you're on Facebook, try to find me. I am, boy, I have my name different on everything. Instagram, I think it's just Jilly Bling. And on, I should turn my phone off. Usually I don't take the time to do all kinds of stuff like this, but every once in a while I do. So, Instagram, I'm under Jilly Bling, and that's my picture. Because I was asking, what do you think? And everyone says, nah. And then I sent it over to Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, look me up. I am, well, I don't know where I am. Stampin' with Jilly. And I would love to get your feedback on things like this. Like, what do you think? Before I make it. Okay, back on task. Here's double bow. We're done with that. So we have to use the matte because we're doing polymer. So if you're doing this kit, and this is a gotta have it box. So if you buy the bundle from me, I would love to send you this card kit, like all these pieces you see right here. On these 3 rectangles, we're going to stamp the holly berries. 1, 2, 3. And going to do them in Memento. You know, I have to have something white beneath it so I could see that I have full ink coverage. Memento. Okay, so this bundle is lovely because the die, you have your choice in like 3 different dies, big dies. For this one, 2, for this image, 2 dies to use. One of them cuts the perimeter, which is what you would probably assume it to do. I might have got off the edge there. Try it again. And then there's another die that we'll use today that cuts out all the different seasonal sections. So we're focusing right now on the holly berries. It will cut this out in 2 pieces. If you are focusing on the acorns, which we did in a previous video, it will cut out just the acorns. And finally, it will cut out the flowers. It cuts it into 4 pieces. You can use them separately, cut out a whole bunch of them, and then just kind of layer them together. Okay, holly berries, we are good. Okay. Memento. Let's see what else we have. We have 3 squares. So the squares are for this die that comes from the seasonal layers. So we'll cut out 2 of those. And the 2 of them, one of them is for here on the front, which I kind of have buried, but still, it's still nice. And then one for right here. So we'll cut out 2 of these. If ever your plates are getting old and they leave residue behind, get your adhesive remover, and usually that will clean them up just fine. Or just a regular eraser, that will work good too. Or put your cutout images over the top of where it left residue. Or keep getting new plates. I'd say don't do that. That gets expensive. And what is that? Okay, that's where my images are going to have to be. I don't know what's up with that. I wonder if it's coming off from here. I bet you that's it. Yep. Okay. The last square is for pine cones. So, Stampin' Up! Is great at making 2 or even 3-step stamping. You're like, okay, what is that? Right down here, if ever you notice. Oh, that's another thing. It says images at 85%. So if you were to take your die and hold it up, you're like, that's a little bit too big. So that sometimes they reduce the images just a bit. They try to leave them as big as possible so that you can see all the images on the front of the case. So just keep that in mind. If ever you see something down here, it's worth paying attention. Like, don't fit your die to that shape because it's not always true. Also, here it says two-step stamping. And you've probably all done that before, but if you haven't, I'll show you about it today. There's two different images, and let me see, there's this one. These go together. This goes maybe with that, because see how they're together? These two, like stamp that in red berries and then maybe a brown stem, and it will perfectly put a stem on all those pieces. These two here. So maybe stamp this in olive, and then this one could go over the top. No, that one's separate. In I was going to say mossy meadow, but I don't think that these go together. These pine cones go together. But obviously on a card, they all work together, but some of them work as pairs. So today we're going to be focusing on the small acorn, or the small pine cone. And there's two images. There is a bold one and then a detailed one. So in early espresso, I will stamp and stamp off 3 times to get 3 pine cones. So full strength, stamp off, pine cone. And you could stamp off and use the same color, or you could put it into different colors. Soft suede would look good with early espresso as the detailed, the next step. Any way you like. Okay, so I have 3 stamped off pine cones. And next is full strength, the detailed pine cone. So right over the top. And you could get really precise about lining it up, but after years of trying to line it up perfectly and getting out my Stamp-A-Majig and then my Stamparatus and getting it perfectly lined up, that looks just fine. And you could tell that, like how much white is showing through, that they're not all the same, but they all look, to me, in my world, they look like perfect pine cones. Okay, so here is the die that cuts out the pine cones. So let me cut out these 3. Okay, so on to this right here. Where's that die? Here's the die. And I'm just going to focus on the berries. That washi tape is just tired. So I'm going to take these, and look how it's going to perfectly cut them out. Right now I'm just looking at the tips of the leaves. Okay, so I'm going to cut out all 3 of these papers and color them in. Aren't they pretty? Look at that. To me, it's already looking quite festive. So 1, 2, and 3. You're like, what happened here? Okay, so I left part of it to color with you, just a little bit of coloring. And the colors I'm using are Cherry Cobbler, light and dark, Real Red, light, Mossy Meadow, light and dark. So already, let me hold this up close without blinding you. Okay, so you could see that I put Mossy Meadow Dark right on the veins, and then Cherry Cobbler right where it connects to the stem. This one is already done. So my next step is to fill in the rest of the leaves with Mossy Meadow Light, and then the cherries, I'll show you that right now. Okay, so I already did cherry dark. Now, cherry light. I'm going to do all except one, it's hard to color, one little circle, which is going to be the highlight. Oop, that's not a good circle. Oh, fail. Maybe the highlight could be over in the middle this time. Okay, see how I left one area without color? And you could see where I put it on that one. Then with the cherry light, I'm just going to do a little brush of color, and that will look like the highlight. Now blend it just a little bit, but not too much because I want it to look natural. Isn't that fun? Hope it's focusing okay. Okay, and then I'm going to do the rest of the leaves in Mossy Meadow Light. So the coloring isn't too hard. I love coloring with the blends. And then also on these berries, right down at the bottom, like where the stem connects to the berry, there's just a little opportunity to add some Mossy Meadow Light. Okay, I'm really interested in how this is going to come out looking quite a bit more traditional Christmas. Here we are, September. Is it time to start doing Christmas? I've done just a sprinkling of it. Maybe it's time to start thinking about it. I certainly have enough paper. Okay, coloring is done. And did you know you could color your ribbon? I'm going to cut off the end of it. I'll show you. You can make your ribbon whatever color you want. I don't know where that came from. And just keep going on the whole thing before you tie it. Then you'll have any color ribbon you want. The only thing I found with that, when you do that, when you color it, is after the alcohol dries, see how soft and pliable this ribbon is right now? After you have it colored, it gets a little crunchy. But I'll show you that in just a minute after it dries. Okay, let's start assembling this thing. Oh, one more die. This right here, which is through the seasonal labels dies. I'll cut out 2 of these. Okay, now it's time to start making the card. I always end up working in 2 inches of space. Okay, so here's our labels with smudgies on them. And our papers. I can't believe I've never used Mary Merlot. I've loved that color since I've seen it. The first time when I saw the color, I thought, oh, that's really pretty. And I haven't used it till today. Okay, yesterday. Okay, fold the card in half. So this is just a standard paper, 5.5 by 8.5. So fold it in half and then fold this panel back. And that's all that's to it. Okay, and then we're going to have layers. You're like, wait a minute, that's a whole lot of color on the inside, but we'll put that little panel in there so you could write something if you want to. I don't have words. Sometimes I don't know. It's like the greeting. cards, they make it so nice. Maybe that's why I like stamping, because I don't feel obligated to come up with words. I bought a book, and I think it's called What to Say, because sometimes I don't know, and then I don't do anything because I don't know. I even used it this morning because I had a few sympathy cards to send out, and it's like, well, what do you say? Because is anything ever enough? Like if you say, I'm sorry for your loss, or I'm thinking of you, or my heart is with you, is that enough? So this book, it has so many lovely things for any occasion. I really like it. I reference it all the time. Oh, that would be a good wedding gift. Isn't that pretty? Okay, maybe I am in the mood for Christmas. Sometimes Stampin' Up! Paper, it has just a little flaw in the color, but usually if you flip it over, see, it's just fine there. Or just put designer paper over it. Got my Stampin' Seal back. I don't know why I hadn't bought the refills, but now, I mean, look at this. That could stick kids together. That is sticky. So when you're applying your adhesive, do you apply it to the back of the paper? Or do you take a gamble and put it on the other piece? Which is good when you do this, especially with glue, because I'm looking at this paper. Is there a right side up, or I think maybe because these things are going up? I don't know. It's sometimes, especially with glue, to put it on here, because if I had glue, you know my fingers would be all in it. But this way, they're not. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I think I might have done it upside down. Can we do the card this way? No. And this stuff is so sticky, I'm not even going to try to pull it off. But I think that once I get the label on here, you're not going to notice. You'll just see that that goes upward. Okay, so let's start. This can go here and here. Berries, pine cones, those will go in just a minute. Oh, let's see about the ribbon. Okay, remember how I told you it's kind of crunchy? Here is ribbon with no color on it, pliable. Ribbon with blends on it, a little bit crunchy, but we're going to cut that off. Okay, so this is going to go, boy, I am a mess on here, but I want to put the greeting on. So on the other one I did just a note. Let me turn this over. I think that's my culprit. So on here, let me check out what words there are. I'm so fond of you. Thank you. These are too big. How about, we'll just stick with just a note. Okay, just a note goes in Mary Merlot. We used to have a vineyard. We grew Zinfandel, but I worked at quite a few wineries. And you would know when somebody comes in and they say, I'd like to try the Merlot, you know that they don't know. But I usually ended up loving it because it's so mild. Okay, just a note. That's it. Oh my gosh, that's all the stamping we're doing. One image. Is that cheating? Okay, so to put this on, I'm going to use liquid glue. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. It's really nice. You could see better when I have it on here, huh? Okay, liquid glue on the back, on my messy back. Liquid glue. Then put it on here. Okay, and you're like, well, why the liquid glue? When you flip this over, you can really see where this needs to be adjusted. And if you had your Stampin' Seal, there's no adjusting going on. Okay. Good. So, same thing on this one. That dirty mark is going to go where the holly berries are going to go. I wonder if I put glue on here. Do the best I can, then flip it over and check. It's crooked. It's straight. Okay. So let's start building this beauty. So just a note is going to go on the front. Glue where my fingers are not. So I'll put it right to the halfway point of this label. Right in the middle. Halfway point of the label. Okay, this is looking really good compared to the stretch. The stretch in holidays. Okay, so this is going to go directly under here, and you're like, okay, how are you going to do that? I'll show you. So I'm going to put glue all over on here, because that's going to stick to the inside of the card. And then line it up under this one right here. Maybe push it in just a little bit further than planned. Okay, so see how they're lined up? I'm going to close the door. And before it dries, I'm going to check how's it looking there. To me, that looks good. Sometimes when I do that, it's like all crooked. And I have to try again or just adjust it a little bit. Oh, and you can hardly tell that my paper was what I was calling upside down. Because that one looks good. Good. It'll be fine. Especially once it's decorated. Okay, so now I did like the layout of this one. I still do like the layout. Pine cones. How about I have a couple of them here? One and two. Those look good. So I'm just going to attach them. I'm going to attach the first one with glue. Oh, you know what though? I'm going to put this one here. That's just because I see that I did a redo, and I don't want to see that when you open the card. I don't want to cover up all this pretty foil paper, because when you open up the card, you're going to see, I think I did that on all of them. Well, you know, is I had a hair on there, so I had to redo them. This one, maybe I'll just have to go up a little bit higher, so you don't see as much of it. Okay, a really bit higher. On dimensionals. Dimensionals. Oh, and a few of you have asked, so how do you make your magic dimensionals? And I have a video on it. But short answer is packing tape. Packing tape all over it. I think it's like a 5-minute video, and it's very noisy because I'm applying the packing tape. But I could send it to you if you like. Okay, pine cones. And the pretty bow will go right here. Okay, that's looking good. And then this one can come up here. I had to cover up some of my smudges. Maybe it could go here. Okay, and then the holly berries. I think the holly berries are the hit of the show. I think they're so pretty. Okay, so how am I going to do holly berries? So there's two different patterns. There's a little bit smaller one, and then this one with the leaf going down, the bigger one. But I think maybe I'll figure out the inside and then I'll put the rest on the front. So how about, I like the gold showing through. Okay, no gold showing through. Maybe another little one. That's kind of pretty. Or this one can go this way. This one could go over here. Boy, whatever words you write on here, they're going to be good. Oh, that looks good. Okay, so do I dare put dimensionals on the inside of a card? Sure. We always have to pay extra postage anyhow. Sure. Today's the day. Oop, all gone. Okay, so this one, trying to cover up those yucky smears. Could go right there. See, all you have to do is say, thinking of you, or Merry Christmas, and that's it. There's no more room. Then this one. So Uncle David and Kathy, they closed on their house. They're going to move here on the 29th. So Uncle David was here with his friend. He always comes with different friends every time, and they're always nice guys. Oh, I bet you he's going to miss them. But he's made 2 or 3 trips to bring belongings. And here on the property we have 2 pods just to hold their belongings. Put that one right about there. And they came yesterday and they're already gone this morning. But on the 29th, they'll be here and putting in a change of address. And Uncle David wants to work to pay for insurance for just a few years, and he's going to work at the school with Tony. Tony got him a part-time job. He's like, that's all I need, just a little bit. So just like that, they're all set up, ready to go. Okay, too much glue. Now I'm thinking, how am I going to finish the front of the card if I have wet glue on here? Dimensionals. Okay, decorating the front. So, when you open this card, pretty. If I were to close it, like with a dimensional right back through here, it would be one piece that you open. I think I like it better this way, just because I don't want to see all that. I guess I could put another, cut out another gold panel or Mary Merlot panel and put it right here. But that would make it so it was closed, so. There's no wrong. Okay, so for this, Boy, I am very relaxed today. Don't mean to waste your time, but sometimes it's just a relaxed day. It's a Monday. Isn't that pretty? Okay, you all, those that replied to Instagram and Facebook saying, don't do it. Thank you, because I really like this. Oh, I kind of like that. Oh, and there's still the bow to put on. Let me pull this a little away from there for the bow. That's like a continuation of the holly. I don't know. Maybe up here. Well, that looks good. Okay, so one-dimensional here and here, and then glue on the tips. Can I remember that? Okay, glue under the fingers. Glue, glue, and now glue down here. Bo is having a dream. He's going. If Tonya was here, he'd say Bo is chasing the rabbit, but. And it's funny how all of them will be still, but one foot or like one toe is going. And everything else is perfectly still. I mean, even if I tried, I couldn't do that. Okay, listen, here nightmaring. That dog, he has a lot of nightmares. So any of you dog people, what's it mean? I've Googled it before. Like, does that mean something that he always has nightmares? But more or less it's, oh, it's normal. It's normal. Okay, that looks pretty. Now, trim off the ends of the ribbon, including my crunchy green tip. And put on berries. So these little pearls, they're really nice. They are green and red adhesive back pearls. And they come in gold, silver, I don't know, is that seafoam or mint or succulent? And red. It probably says on here. It probably says in the catalog, but they're just really pretty. Because I was using the gold foil paper here, I'm going to stick with the gold theme. And I'll put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the front. It really brings it all together. The gold pearl and then the gold foil paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to put some on the inside, right there at the connector. This one I have 2 sprigs on it. This one I have 3 sprigs. I think I'll just put them here still, the 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Okay, well, that's it. I hope you like this project, and maybe even that project. But if you're in the mood for Christmas, the Fond of Autumn bundle can become Christmassy. What do you think? Give me a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye.